Well, hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from Kiss 106 and 103gbfrocks.com. Alongside my tag team partner in podcasting, Jerry I screwed it up. Jerry Special Delivery Valeri. It looks like you're getting that all over your face. And the stream's covered by your arm, unfortunately. Oh, we had it the first go around. I'm sorry, pal.
Here we go.
Oh, you're the man. How you doing, pal? How was your birthday?
I accidentally just drank a quarter of a gallon of water to start the podcast. I don't feel so good.
At least it's just water.
Birthday was good. Birthday was great. It was fun. Thank you to everybody in the post universe. Oh, I got it all over the place. Holy hell, I'm going to get in so much trouble.
Yeah, there was one shot where it looked like, did any of that get anywhere near where he wanted it?
It got all over the board. I'll tell you that right now. Thank you to everybody for all the birthdays and the memes and all the wrestling fun, and I really appreciated it, pal. All the pals.
Sorry your birthday had to be besmirched with a SmackDown at the end of it.
Oh, my God. Thanks for ruining my birthday SmackDown. Also, I didn't see it yesterday when I looked up the wrestler birthdays. You said that I share a birthday with,
Jerry Jarrett. Yeah, you missed that one. And I don't remember what that Blake's guy's first name was, but that guy's last name was Blake. He didn't just go by Blake.
It just said Blake.
It just said Blake. I think it was like Michael Blake or something.
Blake. Just Blake. I don't know.
Whatever.
Hey, Blake.
So,
whatever. SmackDown was the drizzling poops.
I didn't think it was all that bad. And I may even give it the nod over Raw.
Man, I can't argue with you because it was birthday time at the Valeri house. So there was cake and singing and presents and goofing around and bedtime. And I watched SmackDown with like half an eye. I think I caught most of it, but I didn't watch it as intently as I did Raw.
It was just like nothing really progressed, but everything just kind of added fuel to whatever they were doing. Like, so for example, you didn't really, like Miz and Daniel Bryan, they've got their feud. I think we can all agree it's been pretty strong so far. They gave us a little more. And then with Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton, they gave us a little more. Charlotte and Becky, they gave us a little more, and that was, to me, maybe enough to make it a better show than Mondays, personally.
Sure. I don't understand why they insisted on burying Andrade Cien Almas so much. Like, they just kept sacrificing him to the Daniel Bryan gods all night. And
I don't feel like he's getting buried, personally. Now, I might be on the wrong side of the fence here, but he's being...
I didn't think so at first, but then he just came out at the end of the night just so they could put the simultaneous yes locks on, which, by the way...
Look, you couldn't do it to Miz and Maryse. So just don't mistake losing for getting buried.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Here's the deal. Answer this question. Answer this question as honestly as you can, but don't overthink it. Don't take too much time on it. If I were to ask you who your favorite person is on the active roster to watch right now, who would you say?
I would say, AJ Styles.
Okay, great. Perfect. AJ Styles. I would say Braun Strowman. AJ Styles. When do you get to see AJ Styles?
SmackDown
Live. And that's it. Pay-per-views. And that's it. That's when you see AJ Styles. When do I get to see Braun Strowman?
Monday.
That's it. When do we get to see Brie Bella? Every goddamn night we get to see Brie Bella. We get Brie Bella screwing up on Raw. We get Brie Bella ruining my SmackDowns with her dumb yes locks and a smile on her face that would make Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews blush. This is stupid. I can't stand the Bellas.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather be put in the double yes lock from Daniel and Brie?
There we go.
Or putting over, or getting over on Sin Cara week after week, or Kalisto, or whichever one he was getting over on?
You're right. I would rather get the double yes lock from Brie and Daniel Bryan. I mean, you are in the big picture. But my point now, I've moved on from the Andrade thing. I'm now to the fact that Brie Bella is getting way too much television, and she's not good. And she's not good.
I don't feel like this week is going to be the standard week for the Bellas. You're right. But we've been waterboarded with Bellas. Like, we're just drowning in Bellas. I agree. It's been a lot, but I don't think this will be typical.
Although I did love the Miz and Maryse. Arrivederci, Bella.
I thought so. I have to be honest with you. I thought that was a really good way, A, to do a show-long angle, and B, to keep these two apart without having them touch, but on the same show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you said you were watching out of the corner of your eye, let me kind of reenact what went down. So before the show started, but in the arena, Miz and Maryse call out Daniel Bryan, but it's an empty arena and it's played via videotape, and they don't come out because they're not there yet. So they go have lunch or dinner or whatever at an Italian restaurant in Detroit. Daniel and Brie start the show. They call out Miz and Maryse, but of course they're not there. So then they say, okay, we're getting hungry. How about Italian food? So they try to find where Miz and Maryse are, and they go to the restaurant. Miz and Maryse hear that Daniel Bryan and Brie are calling them out. They come back to the arena, call them out again.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I noticed that.
I mean, I can't remember a time that's been done. Not saying it's never been done, but I'm just saying I can't think of a time it's been done. And I thought it was kind of original, to be totally honest with you.
I love the cat and mouse, and I love that Miz and Maryse are out doing the outsmarting thing. I think that at the end of the day, you're going to get Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella on top. But I love everything the Miz does these days, and the Miz and Daniel Bryan is a feud I care about. If this is just a way to get them featured, yet keep the actual Miz Daniel Bryan collision until WrestleMania, like I'm okay with it. I'm not a fan of Brie Bella. Like when it was her turn at the opening of the show to cut a promo, it just feels lifeless and it falls flat to me, which is a shame because I think that the Miz and Daniel Bryan do a really good. I mean, they're both top notch, but I think the Miz does a better job of hiding Maryse's flaws. Than Daniel Bryan does with Brie, because Maryse, she just stands there. She's pretty. She says one or two things, and the Miz handles the rest. Daniel Bryan just hands the mic to Brie, and I know that's how they wrote it. But then they give Brie too much rope. She hangs herself every time.
Let's make no mistake about this. The Bellas, Nikki and Brie, Maryse, they're from a bygone era of not just like quote unquote divas.
They're divas.
Definitive divas. Like they are the definition of what you think of when you think of divas. They are just pretty faces. They are not good in the ring. They are the complete embodiment of what women's wrestling was 1999 through 2014.
And I thought they were trying to get away from that.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying that's what got them their popularity, was not what got Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, Bayley their popularity. They are a different breed. And that's just something I wanted to just, I guess, reiterate, was acting is not what they do. That wasn't, cutting a promo was not a necessary ingredient to be a successful woman in the business when they were women in the business.
No, you just needed chest meat and that's it.
It sounds crass, but that's what you just said is true. You know, it's just, that's what it was. You needed to have a face, T-A, and then you were money. That was it. A thimble full of charisma.
Learn how to take one flat back bump and do that hair pull toss, and you're getting a championship, baby.
Yeah, and you're going to win it in a mud pit 7 times.
Also, getting banged by John Cena doesn't hurt. Ask Mickie James when she had the belt. Ask Nikki Bella when she had the belt.
I heard it only hurts a little at first.
There's a line. Did you ever see that Amy Schumer movie? I can't remember the name of it now, but he was in it.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that one.
And she's having sex with him, and she's like, God, it's like banging an ice sculpture. I love that line.
All right, so let's start with SmackDown. I mean, we've been into it a little bit, but yeah, it was a lot of, like I said, as far as show long angles go, I thought that was successful with Miz, Bryan, a little bit different, a little innovative, and kind of well written for a SmackDown.
Sure.
And then what else happened last night? Well, there was AJ and Joe.
That's hot as hell.
It is hot, but I'll be honest with you, I was a little disappointed last night, where I was expecting something totally different. Joe promised to show up at the barbecue at Wendy and AJ's house, and he was at the arena, and it felt to me like more of the same. And this time I was specifically expecting something unique.
You wanted the Brian Pillman Stone Cold invading the house type thing.
Yeah, and I feel like they kind of set us up for that. I don't think I was out of line expecting something along those lines.
Oh, Wendy.
And he promised to be at their barbecue. So I was like, cool. I'm excited for SmackDown on Tuesday because Joe's going to be visiting the Styles household. Yeah, that's a really good comparison to what I was expecting, Jer.
Yeah, so unfortunately, you're a victim of expectations, and it's their fault for setting those expectations.
Yeah, but I don't think...
I mean, it's their fault for setting the expectation and then not meeting it. The segment was still good, but if they set you up to think one thing is going to happen and then they go a different way completely, it's usually going to fall flat.
Well, not only... I mean, the segment, I guess, if you took it on its own, 10 years from now, you look back on it and you watch it out of context, it was good. But it really just felt like more of the same to me.
Yeah.
I think it was the worst of all their interactions. Not that it was bad, just that it was probably the worst of all of them so far.
It's at a boil now. If they can keep it boiling to Hell in the Cell, we'll see where we go. And
it's not that far away. I mean, yeah, I think they're good. I'm
correct. Their match is not in a cell, correct?
Not to my knowledge as of yet. And I still think we only have two, right? We got Strowman and Reigns, and we got Hardy and Orton.
Sure. And I'm still not convinced that Strowman and Reigns is going to not have everybody in it at some point.
Well, I almost feel like you got AJ and Joe, which maybe deserves to be in there more than anything.
Yeah.
And I still feel like there's an outside chance of Becky and Charlotte because they're girls.
Yeah, but then now we're talking 4 Hell in a Cells.
I'm not saying that's realistic either.
I remember the best Hell in a Cell that I've ever seen in my entire life was not at a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. It was a King of the Ring. I like when Hell in a Cell is a stipulation to capitalize or to punctuate a feud, and it's not because it's we've said it a million times.
It's ad nauseum now.
It's a calendar thing now.
And I don't like that. I don't think anyone really does. I had one note from the show before I get into the breakdown. My only note was I thought the ending also, and maybe this ties into the Joe and AJ thing. I thought it was a really poor ending, and I'll tell you why. After you had what I described as the more of the same kind of promo, you had AJ and Joe in a pull-apart brawl. Now, here's the problem. The night before, you had literally the entire locker room empty out to break apart the Shield. And then on SmackDown, you have 4 referees and Paige pulling apart AJ Styles and Joe, that it just felt so cold to me.
It's a really good point. I didn't think of it, but that's a really good point.
So that, I think, had a bearing on why I thought the ending and the last segment didn't work for me. I did have high expectations. I thought that they were realistic, though. It's not like I thought that Stone Cold Steve Austin would win the Greatest Royal Rumble. I thought Joe was going to be at the barbecue because they freaking told me Joe was going to be at the barbecue. So there was that. So then other things that happened on the show last night. I think another kind of show long angle that kind of worked for me. Again, I mean, when you think about what we're used to seeing from this performer, I thought R-Truth did a fine job and was given a lot of screen time, and I wasn't upset about that.
I like this little budding thing going on with R-Truth and Carmella.
Yeah, it's just goofy and funny. And I mean, if we all kind of just acquiesce and admit to the fact that R-Truth is the comedy guy now, that was what I expect from him. And I thought he did a very good job. You know, mistaking Maryse for Carmella, saying the whole interaction with actually Carmella, like, I don't know, it was all working for me.
Remember when they did the draft or whatever, and he showed up on the wrong show? Like, he was on SmackDown, and he shows up, he's like, I'm here for SmackDown. They're like, it's Monday. And he's like, ah.
You know what, Jarrett? The more we're talking about this, I think I'm now feeling good about saying SmackDown was better this week.
Oh, okay. I told you I'm not going to argue one way or the other because I didn't watch it enough to give an opinion. The only thing that I have an opinion on is the fact that I'm sad that I stick a fork in sanity, because that's it.
Yeah, man, I hate to say I told you so.
Man, I just had, I don't even know if I had high expectations. They're not even mid-carders at this point. They're just they've done absolutely nothing to move their characters forward. They've done nothing to explain their characters. They've done nothing to give them an actual story. They just come out and they've got a cool entrance and pretty cool theme song, and that's the end of it.
I so dig them. Their entrance is great. Their look is awesome. What's the big guy's name? Killian Dane?
Killian Dane.
Man, I was just like, I was kind of watching out of the corner of my eye a little bit, and my eye just caught a glimpse of him on the apron, like waiting for a tag or whatever. And to me, he really just stood out for just looking different.
He's a beast, and Alexander Wolf looks different too, and he's a beast. I mean, they're huge guys, and they've got a great leader, and I think they're a good team.
Killian's the really heavy set one, right? Kind of egg shaped.
Bowling ball guy, yeah.
Yeah. I dig that guy.
Looks like a Viking.
Yeah, and he gave like a really hard clothesline that just looked believable to me. And I've always been an advocate of, I like, especially like when I was a kid, I didn't care this much for this, but now that, especially when you went through the decade of like 2000 through 2010, it was like everyone looked like a bodybuilder, literally everyone. That I was just so dying for a Vader, a Bam Bam Bigelow, a Tugboat, or whatever, just like someone who looked different. Right. And you don't get a lot of them nowadays.
And he works. The dude's a worker. I think he was the MVP of their War Games match last year at NXT.
He was a high point. I agree. He
was a high point, if not the highest point. He was one of the high points of that ladder match that I think you still consider one of the best matches of the year.
He was
great.
I just remember great in that. I loved Ricochet the most. I liked EC3 the least, and then there was everybody else.
Yeah, Killian Dane stood out to me in that. Not the best, but he can go. The guy can go. He's not just a big fat dude. He's like a Vader. He's like a Vader in his prime, and he's like a Bam Bam Bigelow in his prime.
Not like Vader now. He's not like a 2018 Vader.
Although I've heard 2018 Vader has really been cutting weight.
That's not for the two, pal.
Sorry, pal.
It was funny. We were all kind of like eulogizing and remembering Vader. And then I guess Mike hates the guy. I don't remember if he had a reason or not, but I remember Mike was just being stiff with a dead Vader.
Yeah, I know. He loves the dead Vader jokes we just told right now. You know, he's just like, yeah, he's deteriorating in the ground. He's decomposing, and worms are eating his flesh.
So over these past 3 weeks, I've really been able to catch up on the Bruce Pritchard podcast, which I know we might be talking about too much, but I'm just going to say this. The stuff that's been unearthed about Vader. Oh my God. I like the stuff about how he was supposed to win the title and Shawn killing it. There's the amazing temper tantrum at SummerSlam 96. How Vader got replaced by Sid at the Royal Rumble and Survivor Series. Like, I mean, all that stuff was so interesting to me.
Right. And the more I listen to that podcast, speaking of things I say more than I should, I hate Shawn Michaels. Hate him.
It seemed like during that era, he was unbearable to work with if you weren't in the clique.
The worst.
But it's one of those things. It's like a genius in the ring, slime ball outside of it.
And shame on Vince for letting him be the worst. I mean, Vince really let Shawn be the worst.
That's not wrong. It's not wrong. But people say this. I mean, people have, I don't want to say the same thing to say about people like Brett, but people have their criticism. Like, I was surprised, honestly, how stiff Bruce was on Brett during Brett's episode.
Well, for me, Brett in the company never bothered me at all. Then he goes to WCW, and that's when he worked his entire life into a shoot. And like, I feel like now he's just so bitter and he can't get over it. And that's it. It's sad to me because if he would just look at things a little differently, maybe he'd be a happier man.
I feel pretty confident that phase of his life is over.
I hope.
I think it kind of got resolved when he swallowed his pride and came back to Raw in 2010.
Okay.
But I mean, remember what happened to him. He was deeply affected by the screw job in 1997. 2 years later, his life is not in a good place. And Owen dies on WWF TV. I don't want to say he feels responsible, but he feels like had he been there, he could have saved him. And then he loses his mom and dad not long after that. His career gets a career-ending injury from an
unready Goldberg,
a green Goldberg, exactly, that should never have happened. He gets a seizure or something on a motorcycle, and gets like partially paralyzed. He had a rough string of luck from like 97 through 03.
The fact that he's still with us is shocking to me.
Yeah, and I think he's a guy who has the right to be bitter. But the vibe I got from Bruce was Brett took himself so seriously that he became tough to work with, where Shawn was such an a-hole, he was hard to work with.
Yeah, both guys I don't think I would have wanted to work with at the time.
I would definitely much rather be with a difficult to work with Brett who has his own way of doing things than a total bully in Shawn Michaels.
Just a bully.
And that's the way I feel. And that's a hard, definitive answer. And not because I'm a Bret Hart. Listen, I love Shawn Michaels almost as much, but I would much rather be a Bret Hart human being than a Shawn Michaels human being.
I would, yeah. I won't even say that I love Shawn Michaels. It's more, I can't, I don't even want to see his old matches anymore. Like he leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Charlotte and Becky Lynch, they did one of those like face-to-face via satellite kind of deals, or at least maybe not via satellite, but they weren't in the same room, which again, keeping them apart and still giving us stuff in the same way they did with Miz and Daniel Bryan. I thought it was fine. I don't think it was good or bad. It was fine.
Yeah.
So what else happened on SmackDown? Naomi defeats Peyton Royce. At least we got to see Peyton Royce. Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy, they did kind of a similar thing to Charlotte and Becky, except they were pre-recorded. And then we talked about Rusev Day over Sanity and the Usos to advance into, I didn't even realize it was for anything, but they had now advanced. They are going to face The Bar next week to determine who faces New Day at Hell in a Cell. God almighty, did we not just do this? Right. No, we did. And it seems ad nauseum at this point, doesn't it? So
we went from a tournament, we crowned a champion, and the first time they defend that championship is going to be against the winner of a tournament. It is baloney. I mean, we should just do tournaments. Just keep doing tournaments.
It's been this whole year, 2018 has just been defined by we can't write angles. We're only going to do tournament qualifiers.
God.
So anything else you think worth mentioning today from the show last night?
I think that's it. I mean, you've tapped me for everything that I witnessed and had an opinion on.
Anything exciting happen on the birthday front?
Yesterday was just a regular, good old-fashioned day because Allie had dance and Evan had football, and we did a little bit of birthday stuff. But
I only saw on your wife's Facebook. Was there something special that happened at your son's football?
Yeah, the whole team sang me happy birthday, those little knuckleheads, and then there was a big ice cream treat for everybody after practice, which was good because it was 98 degrees and we ran those bastards. We ran them hard. They were all dying.
Good for you, dude. I'm worried about kids a generation younger than us because I'm like technically a millennial and I I'm one of those like self-hating. I don't like other millennials.
You're on the edge. Yeah, you're barely a millennial to me. Like when I think of millennials, unfortunately, I'm thinking of a different generation. Don't they call them Generation Z? Like the skinny jean 19-year-olds now that, I mean, they look like veal. They're so soft.
So I feel like we're either going to continue to get soft, or it's going to circle back and they're going to get stronger again. And I'm hoping that Evan, and I'm getting evidence that Evan might, become strong and not soft.
You've got a lot of guys like my age now, and I know from just my group of friends, we're raising our kids. It's like a backlash against the millennial softness and the oversensitivity and just being big puss burgers. So like you're going to have a generation of kids. Like if the whole generation is like the kids that I'm trying to raise, great. If not, who cares? Evan will take your girlfriend.
Take that.
Take that.
And I think I will speak for everybody as I play us out here. How do I want to word this? I'll word it like this. Did you get a Nintendo Switch last night?
I did not get a Nintendo Switch.
And we're happy about that, right?
Very happy about that.
There's not one word to describe Jerry Valeri. There's one word to describe the generation. Just do a Triple H for me, pal. We'll see you next week on Post to Post. Humdinger.